we have the PPT, please? You can see the tables which list out the 24 indicators which are in 5 different categories. Yes, you see that. And then we have worked out the overall composite index. We can go to the map. And I know when such ranking is given, it really creates a sense of awareness and sense of urgency. For the social development report for India, we had given such ranking. I must tell you that at least in 12 state legislative assemblies, there were questions, and that's why we thought that ranking the districts and the changes in the rank over time would be an important input in policy making. There are 5 different dimensions. We have ranked the district. You can see the green ones are at the top level, the yellow ones at the second level, and the red ones are in the alarming zone, which needs immediate policy action. We go to the next one, please. So these are the 3, and then 2 more, and the last one is the overall social development index. Now you see, you go to the next one, please. What this really maps the vulnerable areas. The green ones are doing somewhat better. The yellow ones are showing at the middle level, and the red districts are showing very low level of social development. Now, how we got about it, let me take just 1 minute to explain the methodology. As I said, we have taken 24 indicators, put them into 5 categories. There are some negative indicators like percentage of women having anemia, undernourished population, infant mortality rate, maternal mortality rate. They are negative indicators of social development. We have converted into positive indicators, sometimes by subtracting it from 100, like illiteracy, you subtract it from 100, you get literacy, or we take the reciprocals, the inverse of these negative indicators. These indicators have been made scale-free by the range equalization method, which is used by UNDP, and the scale-free values have been aggregated to get the composite index, and that has been presented. We do hope that this will go into policy making, and if there is a revision over time, that will show how the planning inputs are altering the geography of the state. Despite many of the returnees who came back to Odisha, many of them vouched never to return, and despite the best efforts made by the state agencies, it may not be possible to absorb the migrants within the regional economy. After a few months, particularly after the sowing of the Kharif season, many have started returning back to the cities and the states of their destination. These migrants have been visible only in their distress, but they do not have much political clout or electoral strength. Many of the southern states have already passed legislation or administrative orders restricting employment policies of these migrants. I do not know how the Supreme Court will take a view, and I've really analyzed these changes which have occurred during the last 6 months. We only hope that such, exclusionary trends which would affect the federal structure and goes against the spirit of the Constitution, Article 16, would not really prevail. We hope that all concerned at the national and the state level will take immediate steps to put in a system wherein migrants find the condition at the destination less unwelcoming than what they had left behind, which made them free from their places. I once again would like to thank Mr. Jagadananda and the Odisha Development Initiative for this opportunity of associating with this event. And I certainly believe that the inputs which have been provided for policy making would go into the relevant corridors of decision making, and it would also be taken seriously by the civil society organizations. The recommendations that we have made, as I mentioned, are emerging not only from the analysis of the secondary data, but from the ground level experiences. In that sense, I do believe that Odisha Development Report has very unique and special characteristics which will make them much more relevant in policy making. Thank you, Mr. Jagadan.
Thank you. Thank you, Professor Kundu, for a brilliant brief exposition to this report. And let me, so many of you would be thinking about what is this report. Let me then, use this wonderful time to request Professor Radhamohan to release the report so that you can all see, and those of you who are interested, you can always acquire a copy. It was, so Professor Radhamohan and Professor Kundu, if you have a copy of the report in front of you, I would request you to bring it and show it, because the report is going to be released now. We release this report. Please show it. थोड़ा ऊपर करिए. Okay. Professor Radhamohan is releasing the report along with Professor Amitabh Kundu, and I'm so happy that the Odisha Development Report 2020 is released. Thank you, Professor Kundu. Thank you, Professor Kundu. And with these words, many of you would have questions and clarifications. कहा मनरे प्रश्न भी थिबो प्रोफेसर कुंडू को पचारिबा पई, जो मानकर प्रश्न अछि, जो माने इंग्रजी रे पचारि परिबे ओडिया रे भी पचारले ताको ट्रांसलेशन करिकरी आमे देई परिबा, किंतु चैट बॉक्स रे आसिया को पड़िबो, राइट? जार प्रश्न थिबो आपण माने को दया करी चैट बॉक्स रे पचारि परिबे प्रश्न गुडे को, एवं आमे ताको प्रोफेसर कुंडू को पाखु ट्रांसफर कर दे परिबा प्रश्न गुडा. Thank you very much. Now I will request Professor Radhamohan to share his thoughts of what are the few priorities for Odisha now, and what government and civil society we should be doing, and what is his advice to all of us. Professor Radhamohan, sir, who has just released the report. Professor Radhamohan.
Sir, please unmute.
Sir, को बड़ा स्क्रीन पे भी नहीं आसो.
Sorry. Thank you, Jagannath and Professor Amitabh ji for bringing out an excellent report. The report was given to me a few days back, and it was under quarantine for 72 hours. And I didn't get much time actually to go through the whole report. And it is customary. I didn't know that it is customary. I will be required to speak. Although it is customary, and this idea that it is customary to say something, this descended on me a little late. And also it is customary to say first few good words followed by critical comments. I will reverse the trend. And first of all, this book appeared a little heavy for me, and the formatting, the large format, doesn't make it very readable. And why should it be very expensive? The paper is very expensive. It is not World Bank that is printing, and it is for Odisha people. And it should not be savvy, it should not be shoddy. But then it could be much cheaper also. And if at all it is being addressed to change the policy, it should be printed in Odia also. At least a short version, a brief version in Odia should be available. Because you say it is meant for policy makers. And who are the policy makers? The politicians and the bureaucrats. And mostly bureaucrats. It is accessible to them. But the creamy layer is more often than not impervious to ideas. I know there are some excellent officers in civil service who jump at new ideas, ready to accept, ready to translate into practice. But